Hello everyone, I'm sure you all are having good and productive time at home. Welcome back to my channel Simplifying Business Studies, myself Kashish Talwani. Today, children, I'm going to introduce this very amazing and a new chapter of Class 12 Business Studies, Planning. So this is such a familiar word. We have already used this word several times during our day, during our whole lifetime. But now we will understand what it has actually into it, like what is planning, why it is important, and if we see it from an organization's perspective, then what again is planning and why it is so important. So let us quickly start with our session on planning. So let us have some beautiful thoughts on planning before we start this chapter. A goal without a plan is just a wish. This is absolutely true. Unless you convert your goals into a plan, it will always remain a wish. That means it will only be fulfilled if you will convert it into workable plans. Failing to plan is planning to fail. So if you fail to plan things on a certain period of time in your life, you will definitely be planning to fail in your life. A good plan is like a road map. It shows final destination and usually the best way to get there. So this is so true. It is exactly like a road map. It will let you know where your final destination is and how you can reach it. An hour of planning can save you 10 hours of doing. If you plan for 1 hour, you will definitely be working better for next 10 hours. So, did you all see how important planning is? In our lives also, in our routine also, in achieving our goals also, planning is very, very important. So children, this is such an important thing. I'm sure you all will take care of your daily routine, of your coming days, of your year ahead with good planning and definitely good execution. So let us now understand what is planning as per an organization's point of view. So planning means thinking in advance what is to be done, how, when, and by whom. So this is what exactly we do in planning. We understand in advance like what are we supposed to do, how it will be done, when it will be done, and by whom it will be done. So definitely it bridges up the gap between where we are and where we want to reach. So yes, an idea can be converted into an action through a plan. So this is what planning is all about. So it generally involves two aspects. What are these two aspects? You set the aims and objectives of an organization, and after setting the aims and objectives, we select and develop the best and the most appropriate course of action to achieve these objectives. So these are two things which are involved. So once you are willing to have certain aim or certain objective in life, then you have multiple courses of action, multiple ways to achieve those objectives or aims. So then again, it needs planning that which course of action, which way to achieve that objective is best for us. So this is also including in planning. Now let us understand few definitions by some experts about planning. Planning bridges the gap from where we want to go. It makes possible for things to occur while would not otherwise happen. So this is a definition by Coons and O'Donnell. So they tells us that this is a bridge which help us cover this gap between where we are where we want to go. It makes all those things possible which would otherwise will not be possible in any way. Another definition by Terry and Franklin is planning is selecting information and making assumptions regarding the future to formulate activities necessary to achieve organizational objectives. So yes, here we are selecting information and making assumptions. We are forecasting our future so that we can formulate our activities which are necessary to achieve all the things which are necessary for an organization. That means the organization's major objectives. Let us understand the features of planning now. The first feature is planning focuses on achieving objectives. So yes, planning starts with the determination of certain objectives. That can be the objectives of an individual or that can be objectives of an organization. So we cannot think of planning in absence of any objectives. So after setting up the objectives, it is decided through planning that what methods, what procedures, what steps are to be taken for the achievement of those objectives. For example, if an organization has an objective of manufacturing 1500 units of a product in 1 month and only let's say 1000 units are produced, then definitely it has to make changes in the plan so that it can finally achieve its objectives in the later period of time. So yes, planning focuses on achieving certain objectives. If those objectives are not able to be achieved, then definitely plans has to be changed. Planning is pervasive. That means planning is required everywhere. That means no matter an organization is a small organization or it's a big organization, planning is required everywhere. A sole proprietor also do planning for his business just like a big organization like Reliance Industries. So planning is pervasive. That means it is required in all the organization, and not only all organization, but it is required at all different levels of organization also. For example, top level management formulate policies, the overall policies or objectives of the organization. Middle level management, they implement the plans given by the top level management and they break them into smaller plans to be distributed among their personnel. And lower level management also do planning for day-to-day activities of the workers, what raw material has to be used, how everyday activities are to be taken care of. So yes, planning is done by all different types of organization and also at all levels of organization. Planning is a continuous process. What does this mean? That means planning is not something which starts and ends somewhere. You cannot say that planning is something which is done in the beginning of the accounting year and it ends after it is done. If some kind of changes are brought into an organization due to dynamic environment around us, planning has to be revised. So planning is not something which starts and ends anywhere. It is a continuous process and it goes on every time. For example, if the company has prepared its plan for a market which is touching its boom at that time, and if some kind of depression comes across in the market, then plans has to be changed. For example, during this pandemic also, we all those who are holding some businesses must have planned something else for our businesses, but now all the plans are changed due to this changing environment. So yes, planning is a continuous process. Planning is futuristic. That means planning is always looking ahead. Planning is always about future. Managers, cannot do planning for the past. But yes, this past experiences, what managers have had, their past experiences can be used to make better plans, better predictions, better assumptions for the future. So past experiences can be used, but planning is always done for future. So yes, planning is a futuristic activity. Planning involves decision making. So where is this requirement of decision making comes across where we have alternatives, right? So decision making is always required when we have certain alternatives to achieve certain plan. So here again planning is required. So planning function is only needed when different alternatives are available and we have to select the best alternative out of those available ones. We cannot imagine planning in absence of choices, because planning function, under this planning function, manager evaluate various alternatives and they select the most appropriate one. But if there is only one alternative available for certain objective, there is no need for planning. For example, uh, an organization is willing to manufacture shoes, so it can go for two different techniques. It can either go for labor intensive technique or it can go for a capital intensive technique. So here decision making is required, here lot of planning is required. Which is best, which is the most suitable method, which saves most of our resources and brings us most benefits? So this is where the requirement of planning is. Last point here is planning is a mental exercise. So yes, planning is definitely a very deliberate function. It needs lot of thinking, cautious thinking, and that is why our expert Taylor has kept it separate from operational activities under one technique. So in planning, assumptions and predictions regarding future are made by scanning the environment properly. So this activity requires a very high level of intelligence. Secondly, planning, various alternatives are evaluated and most suitable is selected, again which requires a good amount of intelligence and cautious thinking. So it can rightly be said that planning is a very deliberate function and it is a mental exercise. So students, I am sure this content is understandable to all of you. If you still have any doubts, you can always get in touch with me through this email which is there on your screen, or you can always comment in the comment section of this video. I hope you had a good time watching my lesson. Thank you so much. Have a very good day ahead.